So for this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show my process for cleaning up some line work and throwing on a base color, which to me, that's usually kind of the time-consuming part and the least fun of anything to do, because it's just the technical have to do it to get to the other part of it. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a couple new layers here. Control J makes a copy of whatever layer you have selected in your layer side here. Move that up to the top of your thing, top of your layers, and we will hit Control M to bring up our curves. We're going to take this top line up here. You'll see if you move it to the left, it essentially makes your brights brighter. So this is kind of like Mr. Clean. It gets rid of essentially that gray, dingy looking stuff there. I mean, if you go too far, it bleaches everything out. So what I do is I usually take it to about here, right outside the line here, because that kind of gets rid of all your grunge. This bottom line here works with your blacks and your darks, essentially, your darker tones. And you can bring it over, it makes your darks darker. I usually try and do this just enough to get kind of an inked feel, but not enough to really, I don't know, it's a matter of personal preference. I like my lines dark enough that you can see the lines on top of the colors. Anything past that to me is really just a matter of personal preference. Now you'll see that once we've done that, we've still got some grunge stuff looking in here. Now you could go back in, hit Control M, and pull this even further. What's going to start happening is you're going to lose some of your dark areas in here, and it's going to make things kind of rough. Personally, what I like to do at this point, you could do that, again, if you're in a hurry, quick 30, done. What I'm going to do is we're going to come in here, we're going to grab our dodge tool here. Shortcut for that is O. And I set mine to about 50% exposure. Make sure you have highlights selected in your range up here. So we'll pick highlights. We'll come up here. Oh. And we'll watch absolutely nothing happen because I selected shadows. Highlights. There we go. Look at that. Works out fine. That's why you select highlights instead of shadows. So we'll come in here. The thing about doing this is you can be a bit more precise. Yeah, you'll lose a little bit of your line integrity on some stuff here. And you could effectively come in here with just a normal brush tool and come in and brush, but you have to be a lot more precise. I mean, like that stuff right there with the eyes, man, that's just so easy. It's easier. And I promise you that easy and quick are really what you're going to be shooting for most projects, especially anything done even semi-professionally. You're going to have a deadline for it. You're going to have to hit your deadlines as quickly as you can. And for me, this stuff really helps. Come through here, get rid of some of this stuff, and you can be a little bit more precise because you don't necessarily want to come over here and run over all of this like that because it makes it go away. What you can do is you can hit some of these spots right here that have a lot of this, what I call junk in it, like just lines that didn't quite get erased, because again, you're kind of working for speed a lot of times, so you get something like this going on, you got pages to do, or you got to do multiple character designs, and then somebody picks that one that they want to throw some color on. Hey, look at this. We can throw color on this, we can clean this up, make it look pretty crisp, Come in here, some of this fun stuff here. Yeah, I mean this, I'm hoping that, maybe one day somebody will look at this, it'll help them out, maybe, something will click with them. This is probably not the most effective way to do this. I'm sure there's somebody out there who has a much better way. That's just kind of the nature of the beast. This is just the best way I know. And, if you come and you watch this and you take away like one little thing that makes your process go smoother, or, you have one of those aha moments and it makes everything, makes something click, that's awesome. That's wonderful. I've spent a lot of time watching videos and tutorials and stuff like that just to pick up a better way of doing something. Maybe you do it a different way. Maybe you've got, maybe one part of your process gives you kind of a hassle. Hey, awesome. You do the research, you put the time into something, you figure out a better way. That's just part of being, to me, that's part of being professional. You're always trying to better yourself. You're always trying to do something a better way, because there's always a better way. Don't ever think whatever way you're doing it is the best way possible. There's always a better way. All right, so Here we've got it pretty cleaned up here. You can see the difference. You know, you got your dingy, working with it kind of thing. And then, hey, look, we could probably throw something on this. So what we're going to do is we're going to hit Control U. It's going to bring up our hue and saturation. We're going to go ahead and desaturate this thing. That way it's just straight up black and white. There's no little color variation in there from where you scanned it in. You know, that's all good and well. All right, so we'll come down here. Actually, we'll take the layer that you got your lines on. Let's go ahead and rename this thing Lines. I like doing that. Not line up, lines. There we go. So come into your lines, set this thing to multiply. That's going to essentially make only your darks show through, which is why you're seeing this layer down here underneath it. So come over here to your color stuff. We'll pick us a color here that probably, I try and pick a background color that won't be on the character just because, you know, it makes things easier. And we'll hit Alt-Delete, drops that in there. Look at that. We now have color on here. I prefer to do all of my base colors on one layer. So we'll call this base. The reason I do that, I used to do it on multiple layers, but it starts eating up your time and starts eating up your computer and makes the files huge. So we're going to take this here. That's our base layer. Rock on with it. Now we come in with our wand tool. Hit W. Bam. Make sure you've got contiguous selected. Tolerance is around 32 for something like this. We'll click in. And, oh crap. All right. So now what we have is we have an issue with stuff being selected that we don't want selected. What you do when you have this happen, or what I do when I have this happen, is I come in, okay, right here, looks like I got a little over-excited with some stuff here. Hit Control-D, pull that out. And what we're going to do is we're going to hit B, and then hit D, which brings up, makes this revert back to black and white on your color selection here. So let's say, for example, you're doing something like this, and you don't really want to mess anymore with the line work that's there. Or let's say that the line work there is a bit crisper and everything, but you still, you know, have some issues with stuff being selected you don't want to select. So what we're going to do is come up to our line layer, Control J, we're going to make a copy of this layer so that we can manipulate this however we want, like say like that, and we can always just make it go away after we've done the selection here. So we'll drop our wand in here again. Look at that. That's all crisp. What else have we got here? We got some of this showing through now. I'm going to assume, yep, right up here. Control D, hit B again. Come in here. We'll just close that up. Oh, look at that. Look at that magic wand being all magical. Awesome. All right. So now you can see, let me show you what I did there. Let's say you selected all this. You know, you got your background in here. And there are going to be some little spots, like in here in the hair, that since you what contiguous does is it means that when a line, you know, it selects solid parts. Like if the lines are all connected, it's not going to select inside of that. And so what you have to do is hold down Shift. You'll see this turn to a little plus symbol here, and click in, and it'll add the little areas that you've clicked in. Look at that. Look at how awesome that is. That's really cool. And there's one more down here. Check it out. So, all right, so now from here, let's say you've got all that selected. What you're going to do now is come up to Select, Modify, Expand. I do it by 2 pixels because everything I work with is like 300 dpi. So 2 pixels really doesn't make a whole lot of difference, but what that does, one, it goes ahead and expands it past this, so you don't have to come in here and worry about that. And 2, it puts your selection right kind of underneath your line work here, so that when you start doing multiple colors, like I'm about to show you, you don't see the lines, more or less, which is a good thing. You don't want to see, you know, where red meets yellow, unless you do, and then you can. But for here, we don't. So we're going to hit Control-Shift-I to invert this. What that does is it takes it from having your selection selected to the opposite, which is our character here. So now we're going to come down to our base color layer, because you don't want to mess with this layer now. So now that we've done that, we're going to take that layer, turn this one off. Heck, you can get rid of this if you want to. Look at this. It's gone. And now we're back to our original line work. Control-H will hide the dotted lines here, and you can just look at your stuff, but it's still selected. And now we're back to our original line work. We really haven't messed with this, if that's, you know, the way you want to go with it. So now we'll come down to our base color. The way I do this, quick, dirty, Control-U. You can change your hue and everything. I try and take whatever the biggest selection of color is going to be, and that's my first color I change to. So let's say it's going to be the pants. So we're going to take the pants, make them somewhere around in there. Awesome. Now it's a matter of kind of personal preference. You can come in here with a brush and just kind of brush in whatever you want. Again, for me, it's all about quick, dirty, and fast. So what I do, I come in here like this, and I take the lasso tool. Shortcut is L for that. If you're not using a shortcut, it's right up here. And now, if you hold down Alt, it's not Alt. Is it Alt? Yep, if you hold down Alt, what will happen is you will come in. Really? Okay, now it's selected again. All right. So if you hold Alt with your lasso, what will happen, you'll see a little minus sign pop up beside it. And that means that if you have stuff selected already, whatever you select again goes away. If you wanted to add something, you hold Shift. Hey, look at Add. Awesome, right? So what you'll do, and this is why I said this really isn't the fun part of any of this, because it's just kind of technical. But you come in here, deselect the color that you've already got as the color you want, which is the pants. So we're going to come in here, deselect all of this. The only time you have to really be technical is when you're close to another line or something. So we'll come in here, pull this out. This is all about being precise and, you know, making sure you're getting what you want to get. There you go. Oh, little spot over here. Bye-bye. Let's see here. You know what? We're going to leave the belt as part of the same color for now, just for the sake of doing this as quickly as possible. Let's say you get a little too much in there. You hold Shift, add it back in. Good to go. Oh, got a little off there, so we'll hold Shift down, add this in. And yeah, there are people, you can watch videos of people who are a lot better with this tool than I am. I work with it a fairly good bit, and all I can say is I still need more practice, and I still practice with this quite often. I have not by any means perfected it. I just try and use it. Alright, so now the pants aren't selected anymore. So just because it'll be really easy, the shoes are all alone now. They'll be really easy to deselect. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and pick a color for the shoes. Let's say they're going to be some kind of maybe a red color. How about a red? Purple? Hey, look at that. I like purple. Let's go with that. Desaturate that just a bit. Just a little bit. And there you go. And from there, it's just a matter of rinse and repeat.
So that's it. Thanks for watching.